Hey friends, welcome back to the Procrastination Solution Podcast, where we get real about what's holding you back and how to move forward with purpose, clarity, and a solid plan for success. I am your host, Nilo Burke, and I help women just like yourself overcome procrastination for good and achieve your goals. Today, we're tackling one of the most honest, human, and hindering thoughts that gets in our way every single day, and that is, I don't feel like it. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, a college student, a corporate woman, a small business owner, or a woman doing all of the above, this episode is for you. We're going to break down what that thought, where that thought comes from, why it's actually very normal to think this thought, and most importantly, what to do about it. Okay, so get ready to walk away with specific tips and strategies you can use the very next time your brain says, nope, not today, I don't feel like it. Let's get started. But first, I want to talk about what I don't feel like it really means. We all say it, but rarely pause to ask why. I don't feel like it is often code for something deeper, something we overlook on a daily basis. We simply walk away from it. We accept this response. I don't feel like it, so I must not want to do it, so I'm just going to forget about it and walk away. I know I'm not the only one who's had this experience. I've said I don't feel like it to countless things in my life. I don't feel like it to, going to the gym, to doing my homework when I was a student, to throwing in a load of laundry, to working on a project ahead of time, to taking my kids for a bike ride, to going to bed on time instead of pressing play on one more episode of my favorite show, right? It's not about placing blame. It's about asking why your brain doesn't feel like it. Why do I, think this? When we ask why, our brains are also smart enough to come up with an honest answer. And if we keep asking why, if we keep approaching this thought with curiosity, our brains will eventually come up with a solution, right? It's like we partner up with our minds, our brains, to come up with a solution for this. I don't feel like it. Why not? What's going on? Let's talk about it a little more. Imagine having this conversation with yourself, right? Simply ask, why not? And wait for an answer. And you will be surprised with what comes up for you. Okay? Now, why does your brain offer you this thought? Our brains are wired to avoid discomfort of any kind. Look for comfort, look for ease, any choice that's the easiest route to go, and to conserve energy. So of course we're going to resist the emotionally heavy things like, finishing a proposal, taking our kids to the park after we've had a very long day, recording a video or working on content for your small business, sitting down to work on your budget, cooking yet another meal, starting a workout, right? The list goes on and on. And because of that resistance, the brain throws up a defense. Like, let's just not. We don't feel like it. Let's just skip this for now. We'll do it a different time. I'll do it later. That's another thought that shows up. We experience an aversion to certain tasks, right? That feel really emotionally heavy for us. So for all my data-loving listeners, Dr. Pierce Steele found that task aversiveness, right, how unpleasant a task seems, is a top reason why we procrastinate. So the more your brain thinks a task will be annoying or confusing or anxiety-producing, the more resistance you'll feel. I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? If it's annoying, we don't want to do it. When I taught middle school, I had to teach and make learning fun for my students. Otherwise, they found the lesson boring and didn't engage with it at all, right? And what's worse is for younger children at that age, that leads to behavior issues when you don't have engaging lessons, when you don't have an engaging, meaningful engagement in the classroom. Now, I could go on and on about that, but let's talk about how to disarm I don't feel like like it, right? So let me give you 6 strategies to override this thought and get into motion, no matter what your lifestyle, might look like. So number 1 is name the thought without blaming it. Rather than spiraling into guilt, why can't I just do it? What's wrong with me? I must be lazy. If anybody has ever called you lazy, like ever in your life, that thought is gonna show up. So-and-so said I was lazy. I must be still lazy. Like all of these negative thoughts show up, right? So instead of that, try this. This is just my brain offering me resistance. It's trying to protect me from something. I can notice it and, move forward without following it, right? So for example, if you're a mom who just put the kids down and your brain says, I don't feel like cleaning, you can say, yep, there's that thought. I am tired, but I can still choose what to do next. I might want to clean a little and stop and rest, or I can rest and not feel guilty about it, right? Either way, I am in charge, no matter what my brain's programming says. This is so much more powerful than I have to power through this even though my body needs rest, or I must not have a strong enough will because I can't stand up to my own brain, right? Do you see how those two thoughts are just really they take away your power? Whatever you choose to do, you must do it from a place of authority. Either action is correct, coming from a place of authority and your inner power. Rest or clean, either is correct. When you stop to ask yourself, why don't I feel like it? You connect with yourself and you end up making a decision that honors your needs and your authority as the person running your life, right? So, like I said, either answer is correct. You can rest while your children nap, or you can clean while your children nap. You have the power to decide which route you're going to go and not just follow the programming of, our brain. So number 2 is negotiate with a thought. Ask, can I just do 5 minutes or 10 minutes of it? If you're working, if you're a student avoiding a paper, just say, I'll set a timer for 5 minutes and only do the introduction, or create a rough outline, or read the instructions. As a college instructor myself, I find that often students wait until the last minute, not only to start the assignment, but also they wait until the last minute to even read the instructions, because I'll get emails, very last minute asking for clarification on the instructions. So that leads me to believe students have waited until tonight when the assignment is due to, get clarity on what they're supposed to do. There's a lack of clarity. Of course, your brain is going to be walking around thinking, I don't know what to do. This paper is so hard. Why would they even assign us a paper this long? Blah, 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 right? All these negative thoughts. When all the while the student hasn't even read the instructions, right? P.S. And by the way, I used to be a student like that, so no shade on my current students. But the point is to take small actions, because small actions dismantle dread. And often, starting is the hardest part, right? So go to episode 6 and listen to Set a Timer and Start. It has to do with this thing, with starting small and allowing the flow to take over. Give yourself permission to start small and stop after a certain time, or just keep going if you feel like it and if you have the time available, right? Okay. Number 3, use even though reframes. Okay, this is what I mean. This is a powerful mindset shift I, teach in my coaching business. You can say, even though I don't feel like it, I will still ... So whatever it is, I will still open my laptop. I will still respond to, one email, or I'll still respond to emails for 10 minutes. I will still write, 3 bullet points for this project or this paper. I'll still boil water for pasta. Look in the freezer for a quick meal idea, or check the pantry for something I can make in, 10 to 15 minutes. I'll still do 10 sit-ups, or I'll still do 10 lunges, or 10 jumping jacks, right? This creates emotional duality. You validate your feelings of, I don't feel like it, and you still choose action. Sometimes when I don't feel like cooking yet another meal, I start with just boiling water, right? And then I look in the freezer. I always find something to make. And my kids don't mind if I give them, 3 different things to eat, or they're not super picky, and I'm really lucky in that way. So not all meals consist of veggies, salads, proteins, healthy carbs, and a glass of juice, right? Sometimes it looks like a hot dog and a bowl of cut up tomatoes and cucumbers and a bag of chips and a little thing of applesauce and ice water in mama's fancy glasses because they think it's so fancy to drink water out of, my fancy glasses with ice cubes in there, right? Anything to create action. Sometimes I'm inspired to make an amazing meal. Sometimes it's just hot dogs and a fancy glass of ice water. So any sort of action you can take to move forward, even if, you have to reframe those thoughts, that is the perfect way to dismantle the I don't feel like it thinking. Okay, number 4, name the dread clearly, okay? So ask yourself, what exactly do I dread about this thing that I don't feel like doing? Often it's not about the thing, it's your thought about it. So, for example, if you say, this will take me forever, you can try saying, I'll give it 10 minutes and see where I land. Or if you're feeling a little feisty, you can say to yourself, really? Will it really take forever? I do this to my daughter sometimes, depending on her mood. She'll say, we never go anywhere. And I'll say, really? We don't go anywhere? And I'll say, like, can you name 2 or 3 places we've been to, in the last few days? And then she'll sit there and begrudgingly name a few things, right? Or the thought, I won't do it perfectly. You can try saying, done is better than perfect. B- work is perfect on a day when you are tired, haven't had enough sleep or enough water, or a healthy meal, and you have 3 things that are due tomorrow, right? B- work is perfect. Just start and get as much of it done as you can. Number 5, identity anchoring. If you have never thought about working on your identity, this will take some time and practice, but I promise that you can do it, and it is so worth it. So you can think thoughts like, I am a woman who follows through, even when it's hard. I don't get things done perfectly, but I do work on them. I do this thing because it's meaningful to me. And it's meaningful to the people I love. Otherwise, I wouldn't be even considering it, right? So my Christian beliefs help me to think I can do all things through Christ who enables me. If you believe that, right, if your beliefs align, you can rely on this thought as well. So a few other examples, for example, if you're a single mom, thoughts like I'm building consistency and not perfection. These thoughts are super powerful to shift your identity and to empower yourself, right? For women juggling multiple roles, thoughts like I show up for what matters it's an amazing thought because you understand the value of your work and the value of it to the people that you love, right? The people that you do it for. Now, this is a cornerstone of my coaching. When you shift your identity, your behavior naturally flows. This is how I have been able to shift my identity from a hot mess of a person to a person who is a doer of things with compassion and love for myself as a human, right? I don't do things out of guilt. I don't do things out of pressure. I do things because I understand their value to me and to the people that I love, and I do it with compassion for myself. And number 6, let's talk about this thing that you may not have considered before, which is celebrate the starts, not just the finishes of things. So reward your efforts, acknowledge your forward moving actions, keep track of the way you follow the process. If you listen to episode 7 on how you can fall in love with the process of goal achievement instead of always just focusing on the end goal, you'll learn a little bit more about this, right? Following the process, making visual, how can you make the following the process a visual thing for yourself, right? I talk about, putting down every step that you take towards, your goal and just writing it on a sticky note or a piece of paper and just sticking it to the back of a door. This way you can visually see that you are working towards a certain goal, that you are taking steps and you are following the process, right? So this way you are honoring the process and not just the finished goal. Obviously, we do things to finish them, to achieve the goal, but the process sort of gets lost and we forget about it, right? So this helps you honor the process. So dopamine is released not when we finish, but when we recognize small wins. I really want you to take this to heart and focus on celebrating yourself and giving yourself a little high five in the mirror and patting yourself on the back. If you are a fan of Mel Robbins, she has like 2 or 3 books right now that you focus on this particular topic. One of them is the high five method. I think that's what the title is. But, she talks about high-fiving yourself in the mirror and the amazing things that does for us. Okay. What if you're saying, but I've tried everything and nothing works? Maybe you've tried timers, you've tried lists and motivational videos. I used to be the one Googling all the time. YouTube was like my best friend. Motivational videos. And you're still saying, I just can't get myself to do it, right? That's because these tools, these strategies alone don't work without identity, support, and specific strategies. And that is exactly what I help women do in my coaching business. I teach you how to manage your thoughts, create small, sustainable habits, help you stop self-sabotaging, take imperfect but powerful action forward, and most importantly, build a version of your life you're proud to show up for, right? And it's not about being perfect. It's about being supported, and being strategic with your thoughts and actions. So you don't have to, feel like it. It's okay. You just have to begin, right? Motivation will come later. You don't need motivation to take action. That's not a requirement. I used to think it was a requirement, which is why I watched video after video on YouTube by amazing speakers. But the more that I have, gone through, I've found the world of coaching in 2018, the more I learned about coaching and then I became a certified life coach, the more I have learned through personal experience that once I take action, motivation is produced. Motivation is the energy that is created when I take action, right? So no matter where you are, whether you're at home with your kids, finishing a degree, working, 60 hours a week, or rebuilding your life in any way, with the right mindset, strategy, and support, you can take action, you can build trust in yourself, and you can change your future moving forward, right? Now, if you're ready to stop letting the I don't feel like it thought run your life, let's work together. Join me inside the Procrastination Solution coaching program, and let's rebuild your follow-through one small step at a time. And it all starts with a free consultation call with me on Zoom. The link for the calendar is inside the show notes, or you can connect with me through my website. It's www.niloburkecoaching.com. Okay. All right, friends, if you loved this episode, please screenshot it and share it on Instagram. Tag me at Nilo Burke Coaching. That's spelled NILOBURKE Coaching. And make sure to come back on Monday for a Momentum Monday episode. I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.